Hello and welcome to a busy show. This week we are chatting about the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon. It's 50 days to go. The launches of Squirt cycling products and Titan Racing's new Hot Wax and Volt e-bike respectively. Imbuko ChemChamp launching a junior team, entries opening for the 361 mountain bike challenge, and then looking ahead at this weekend's King Price Race to the Sea. So lots to get through and lots to talk about in a short time, hopefully. Starting off with the Cape Town Marathon, it was 50 days to go to the 2025 event last week. And the team announced some of the elite athletes who will be taking part. They have 6 platinum-ranked athletes, 8 gold-ranked athletes on the Abbott World Marathon Majors circuit. The big names there from a South African perspective is Gerda Steyn. Of course, she set the course record back in 2021 when she last raced. That record was beaten by Glenrose Schraber last year, pretty comprehensively beaten by Glenrose last year. Of course, Gerda is very much the queen of ultra racing, rather ultra marathons rather than the marathon distance. But still very exciting to see her on the start line in Cape Town on the 19th of October. She will no doubt be trying to break that record, take her record back from Glenrose. Glenrose is unfortunately preparing for half marathon world champs, so she is focused on shorter distances and running fast at the moment, not running the marathon this year. There is a solid chance, though, that she will be there to watch whatever unfolds, though. So that's quite exciting. On the men's side, we have Elroy Geland. He has just set a new South African marathon record of 2 hours, 5 minutes and some change. He'll be up against some very quick East Africans, including the fastest man in the field, Ronald Korit, whose best time is 2 hours, 4 minutes and 22 seconds. So if the Cape Town course is pretty difficult. It's difficult to run that fast. It's a little bit more hilly, a little bit more windy, especially in October. It's the last year it'll be held in October as well. They will be moving to May in 2026, which should, if it's not horrible weather in May, it will be better. You know what winter in Cape Town is like. If the wind plays along, or if you don't have a cold front, you have absolutely pristine days in May. But in October, you're definitely going to get a bit of wind, especially as the morning progresses. So it could start clear early on, and then the wind could come up later, which is also sort of when they are running through the more exposed sections of the course up along the Sea Point promenade in the last 15 kilometers or so. So that's sort of where the wind does come into play. Anything under 206 would be fantastic for the marathon, but still a long way out, and lots to develop still, and the full elite lineup still to come. But a couple of big names to watch there so far. Then moving on to the product launches, Squirt Cycling Products have launched their Performance Hot Wax. Sort of been around for a while. Matt Beers posted about it a while back. He raced the Cape Epic with it, as did Imbuko ChemChamp actually. And Squirt are very excited about this product because it has a very short break-in period. It reaches its maximum efficiency within 15 to 20 minutes, which is pretty unusual. A lot of the other waxes apparently take a couple of hours to reach that point, and already instantaneously it's at 94%. So that's very cool for the guys that do wax their chains. It's something to look out for. It's in the bike shops already. And then the other thing, it being a Squirt cycling product, it is biodegradable, which, given that most waxes are made from petrochemicals and aren't biodegradable, is a very cool feature from Squirt. So look out for that. Titan Racing and their new e-bike. not the only company, of course, to launch a new e-bike this week. Specialized have launched Gen 4 of their Levo, but the Titan Racing Volt looks like a cool product. Looks very exciting. It's their first full suspension e-bike, an aluminium full suspension with a horse link suspension setup. So an efficient suspension design as well. They've put a lot of work into developing it. But a little birdie tells me there's another bike on the way soon from them. So the Volt is not the only thing to look forward to from Titan Racing this year. I've seen that Durbanville Cyclery have sold an e-bike already, a Volt already. So yeah, those are in the shops if you would like to go and check them out too. And then speaking of Imbuko ChemChamp and their use of Squirt products, Imbuko ChemChamp have also launched a junior team in Imbuko Junior Racing. They're starting out with 7 riders this year. The guys and 1 girl will be racing in their school colors when they race the schools league, but then competing for Imbuko Junior Racing when they take on other events that are outside of the schools racing. So if they do any of the marathon series, the cross country races, that type of thing, they'll be in the Imbuko colors. They are coached and managed by Nicole Carstens. And it's definitely something that there is a significant problem with in South African cycling, is that there's that dropout rate between all the talented juniors, and we all have names in our heads where you think, like, what on earth happened to that kid? They win SA champs, they do well at school, dominate at school even, and then they just fall away. And so there needs to be that link between the junior level and then under 23 and stepping up into the elite. One team obviously isn't going to solve that problem on their own, but it's a step in the right direction, and maybe something that we can see grow from here. So yeah, it's whenever you're talking about junior sports, it's always, so it's with that caveat of we have to see what happens in 5 years time, 10 years time, who's actually developed, because of course most kids that are competitive probably don't have the inclination or the ability to go on to compete at the very highest level. But there does have to be that pathway that takes them through. Otherwise, you just lose them. And that's schools sports in South Africa has always been the breeding ground for talent. You look at schools rugby and the incredible players that schoolboy rugby produces, schoolboy cricket, the same thing, hockey, netball. So school cycling in South Africa has become increasingly powerful. The schools put a lot more into it. If you look back to pre-COVID, when it was the Spur Schools League, they were getting 1,000 kids at Joburg and Western Cape events. They've separated the high and the primary schools out now, so the numbers aren't at that maximum level anymore, but still very, very competitive. And the fields are definitely getting back up to sort of 500 mark and above again. So yeah, the talent is there. It's just about developing it, and it'll be exciting to see if Imbuko can develop some of those talented youngsters from their region as well, from the Winelands region. So they're focusing on riders from schools in Paarl, Stellenbosch, and Durbanville. So hopefully we can see some exciting youngsters moving up into the senior team in 3 or 4 years' time. The 361 mountain bike challenge it's an interesting event. It's not for everybody, but for the people that really like to push themselves, to like to ride far, ride through the night, through the Klein Karoo night, check those stars rising and sometimes even setting on the Rooiberg Pass. It is definitely a bucket list event. This year, Dan Loubser absolutely shattered the pre-existing course record. Took 40 minutes off Dricus Coetzee's previous best time, and became the first rider to go under 13 hours did a 12-hour, 34 minutes and 57-second time for 361 kilometers, which is absolutely phenomenal on a gravel bike, of course, as well. So he won 36,100 rand for that effort. Yolandi de Villiers broke her own course record as well, but because of a bit of a miscommunication or lack of communication, she didn't have the time of day on her, and she didn't actually realize that she was so close to breaking 15 hours. If she had have gone under 15 hours, she would have won 36,100 rand as well. Ended up 23 seconds over the 15-hour mark, which is it's like obviously over that distance. It's absolutely nothing, and it would have taken very little extra effort for in the last 10 Ks or so to knock off that time as well. So hopefully she will be back next year as well. Hopefully Dan will be back, and a bigger field, a stronger field, because the entries for the 2026 361 Mountain Bike Challenge are open. And once again, Dryland and 361 Asset Management have put up that 36,100 prize incentive for anybody that can break the record. So there's no additional marks that they need to get this year. It's just break the record. Of course, Yolandi de Villiers' record currently stands at 15 hours, no minutes and 23 seconds. Dan Loubser, 12 hours, 34 minutes and 57 seconds. So it's going to take some doing, but you'd think that especially that woman's record is pretty beatable, and the person that goes under it will probably be Yolandi de Villiers, given her success in that race, and the way she's taught herself to race it so comprehensively, going from somebody that obviously dominated on the stage racing scene for about 10 years, has now moved into the ultra endurance scene. And 361 really does seem to suit her and suit her strengths. So you would imagine that she's probably once again the woman to beat there, and it'll be interesting to see if she can break the 15-hour mark next year when she goes back to it. For everybody else, if you want to ride through the night, if you want to experience the ultimate in Type 2 fun, the 361 is definitely for you. The choices there, of course, are mountain bike or gravel bike. It's how comfortable can you make your gravel bike? Do you want those extra hand positions? Will you be able to climb Rooiberg Pass and the steep climbs between Karlisdorp and Oudtshoorn on the last leg of the route? With 300 kilometers in your legs, climbing some steep stuff on gravel bike gears is not going to be easy. It's not easy. But yeah, the efficiency wise, you can see why the fastest riders out there are choosing gravel bikes. But we still have a way to go before the normal people take on events like 361 and Transbovion's on gravel bikes. Personally, having done Transbovion's, having been out on the 361 course multiple times, if I were to do those, I would definitely still ride a mountain bike. But I think that's more out of fear and softness than anything else. Closing out the show, we're looking ahead at this Saturday's King Price Race to the Sea. Matt Beers, of course, he's overseas, so he won't be racing, and that leaves the race wide open. For my money, I reckon Tristan O'Keefe, he's on good form. He's very focused on doing his very, very best and really showcasing himself on a global stage at Gravelburn towards the end of October. So he is putting the finishing touches on tuning himself up for that. And he was very bullish when I spoke to him about Race to the Sea. So he's a man to watch there, as is Mark Pritson, who is the South African. Mark is currently the South African gravel champion, of course. Arnaud du Toit, he's in strong form, and Dan Loubser as well, I think another man to beat. Jaden Tolo from Paiga Eurosteel should be in the mix as well. There's a really stacked field in the men's race. Imbuko ChemChamp are bringing a strong team. Whether or not team tactics come into it, we'll have to see. Honeycomb 226s also have a very strong team. Paiga have got multiple riders, as do Insect Science as well, with Keegan Bontekoning and Jan Vitar lining up alongside Arnaud du Toit. So that'll be exciting. It'll be interesting to see if the team dynamics play into it at all. I think it's something that the riders have been talking about at the Lifetime Grand Prix races as well. It's that sort of need for some teamwork when an early break goes away. So it's the perfect opportunity to see if team dynamics will start to play a role in South African gravel racing, because you imagine that it will need to come to that at some point. It's not just mano a mano out there on the gravel. In the women's race, Hayley Preen has just won the African Continental Gravel Champs over in Namibia, and she's in good form. She's got some American racing to do after this as well, so also working her way into peak form towards the end of the season. Again, she's up against the defending champion Danielle du Toit and Sarah Hill, who was second by 5 seconds last year. So Sarah's got some revenge to look for there. Kath Cullen, always strong on the gravel. Cherise Willett has been working very hard at the bike shop. So it'll be interesting to see what type of form she is in. But the women's race will be interesting as well. Even though Hayley's sort of maybe the standout contender there, but you never know what'll happen on race day, especially if we have some wind over the weekend. That could change how the women approach the race. Of course, there's also 5,000 Rand for the king and queen of the mountain, first over Franschhoek Pass, which comes right at the start. I mean, they start at the base of the pass, so straight away into the climb, and then expect a little bit of a reset after that. Groups to form on that long sweeping descent, which is pretty pedally anyway. So if you don't push on over the top of Franschhoek Pass, is a good opportunity for other riders to come back. So I expect groups to come back, and then it all to break apart on the gravel roads after Caledon, where route gets a little bit more punchy. There's sort of rollers with some punch to them towards the end of that course. As per usual, you can read all those stories on diverge.info. And until next time, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and X, if you're still on X, at diverge.info. And please subscribe on Spotify if you've just stumbled upon this podcast accidentally. Until next time, cheers.